What's up, y'all? Welcome to Fury Talks. I'm your host, Seth Fury. So if you saw our last episode, we touched on a lot of the issues with the Black Lives Matter and the police. So this episode, I wanted to touch on a few other topics. So today's guest is an actress, lead actress for Utopia Falls. And she also happens to be very active on her social media, keeping everybody updated and informed on all the current issues. And I find myself there a lot as well, just going to learn some more stuff. So with that being said, allow me to introduce Ms. Robyn Alomar.
Hello.
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 You have been super active, as I just mentioned, on your social media. And I think that's really, really great because, you know, a lot of people aren't, for one, they're not too sure what to post anymore, or they're just really silent. And the silence is also just, in a lot of people's eyes, just as bad as being bad. You know, so it's important to be active and continuously share the knowledge because some people just don't know. And you have been doing that like religiously, which is, I applaud you for it. How do you feel like the culture has changed for now, just, you know, as far as social media goes when it comes to the whole atmosphere of social media?
Right. Well, I mean, I think for myself and maybe other people as well, I just realized, and I was a bit ashamed of myself, that in the past I have chosen to be silent on issues, and I was somebody who was scared to post.
Yeah.
And I don't think that should be a thing. I don't think that anybody should do that. I feel that social media, whether you are an influencer, whether you are somebody who is a mother and you have just a couple of your friends on there, social media is a platform. Instagram is a platform that we need to use to, you know, tell our story as well, but also spread awareness. People don't understand. What I've heard from a lot of people, at least, that have decided not to post is, an excuse I've heard is, hey, well, I'm doing all these active things, I'm just not posting about it, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm doing all, and I extremely doubt that unless you show me the screenshots.
Yeah.
But I just think that it's really whack and it's really narrow-minded.
Yeah.
Because like I said, it's about spreading awareness.
Yeah.
Especially if you are non-Black. You should be actively spreading awareness right now. You should be you should be devoted to activism right now.
Because those are the ones that are going to be heard the most.
Exactly, because racists probably aren't following me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're probably not checking up. Like a lot of people have already unfollowed me, right?
Really?
Yeah. So it's like they're not checking on my stories. They're not trying to get informed, but they're probably checking on yours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's up to you to educate your fans and your audience base, right?
Yeah, no, because social media right now is like our news. Because the media will create their own version of the news because they have their own agenda.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make people see things in a certain light, but it's the people that are on the front line that are actually there, your friends, people you trust, that are showing you. And that's why I think it's so important that you give us our accurate news, you know? So if you're on social media and you want to take part in this, please post, because this is what all the young people are going to watch. And honestly, it's our generation that's going to make the changes. So forget the old people that are, you know, sticking with the news and being brainwashed by that stuff. We're all in this together. And that's why I think for the first time in history ever, there's just so many people across the world, all 50 states. Was it 18 countries, I believe it was? Like, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And so that's just the culture of the fact that social media allows us to do this. So keep posting. Keep doing like she does. Based on social media as well, there have also been a lot of topics or videos that have gone viral. And we're gonna play a couple of them just so you guys can see what we're referencing. And then I wanna kind of give you my thoughts, our thoughts, and our spin on it. So the first video we're gonna play is a video of Candace Owens saying the craziness that she always says. Check it out, and then we're gonna tell you our thoughts afterwards as to what we think.
We are the only people that fight and scream and demand support and justice for the people in our community that are up to no good. I also am not going to accept the narrative that this is the best the Black community has to offer. For whatever reason, it has become fashionable over the last 5 or 6 years for us to turn criminals into heroes overnight. George Floyd was not an amazing person, and as soon as this video hit the internet, I did just basic searches. So here we have, first and foremost, let's start from the bottom of his record. 1998, he spent 10 months in prison for theft with a firearm. In 2002, he spent 8 months in prison for a cocaine offense. In 2004, just 2 years later, he spent another 10 months in prison for a cocaine offense. In 2005, he spent another 10 months in prison for having less than 1 gram of cocaine on him again. In 2007, and this was the biggest instant that I had that made me realize this was a horrible human being that I am not going to pretend was a good person. In 2005, a woman who was pregnant received a knock at the door, and she went to the door, and the person pretended to be someone that worked for the water department. Mind you, this woman is pregnant. At that point, George Floyd took out a gun and pressed it to her stomach. She was screaming, begging for her life.
All right, so listening to that type of stuff, it brings out so many emotions out of me. It's frustrating as hell to see somebody, the fact that she's using his history, his track record, his record, to try to take us away from the fact of the horror that just actually happened to him. You know, I think that's the most lopsided way of thinking, period. Everybody has a past. Nobody should be interested in the fact that, one, he was on drugs, he wasn't acting crazy, or the fact that, you know, in his past he had a gun and put it to some girl. It's a horrible offense. Nobody is justifying that, but we all make mistakes. And that's not what he died for. You know, so you can't start to make somebody look like a bad guy or a villain in order to make the crime or the murder of him somehow justified. Like we just got one bad guy off the street. That's not what this is about. But that's what a lot of America, or white America more specifically, likes to do when it comes to our black people, because they try to just make it seem like it's okay that he's gone. She mentioned the fact that she's angry at the fact that we chose him to be the hero.
Right.
Like, we didn't choose anybody.
And on that alone, George Floyd was just the last straw. That he was the last straw. People are fed up. That's what it was. It was people were fed up of seeing that. Just a week before that, we saw Ahmaud Arbery jogging in his neighborhood. It doesn't matter whose neighborhood it was, and he was lynched and gunned down. Seeing things like that, first of all, is an obvious statement of that there's major police issues. Like, don't even get me started on that. Watching her response to all of this, she completely defends the police multiple times. And it shows me a lot, though, that something about Candace Owens, and that a lot of people don't see, is that people look at her and she is a great speaker. Candace Owens is a great speaker. You can't take that away from her. She absolutely is. She's very articulate as well. People don't look past that, though. They'll just be like, wow, and it loops people in, brainwashes people. So if you actually listen to what she's saying, she doesn't even spew any facts. Like, you're right, he was not on drugs at all.
They found it in his system, but that had nothing to do with how he was acting or the crime that he supposedly committed.
And that they
day.
felt endangered by him having a fake bill.
Exactly.
Which
he was already
ended
in the
up
car.
not being fake as well.
Yes.
And also, which I looked up today, he never put a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach.
Really?
He was in. So what happened was there were men who robbed a woman's home. He was part of the 5 men. She was not pregnant. That was made up. That was not part of the police report at all.
Intensify it. Yeah,
exactly. But other than for this, I don't like to listen to people like Candace Owens, to be honest. It's like you said, it's infuriating to me. I don't side with her at all. I don't follow her beliefs. The reason that I can't listen to her is because she refuses to acknowledge history. Even if you listen to, I don't want to categorize, but I've watched a lot of documentaries on Black Republicans and Black Republicans that specifically support Trump. So not just Black Republicans in general, specifically Trump supporters as well. And something that I've seen commonly is that when you bring up any facts or statistics or anything, they continue to see it as you're seeing Black people as oppressed. That's the biggest thing that I've heard Black Republicans say, is that by us talking about these statistics and police brutality, that is us framing Black people as being oppressed.
Gotcha.
That's just whack.
Yeah,
I mean, if you look at history, like, the police were literally created 30 years before slavery was completely abolished. They knew it was coming. They knew that there was a movement starting to pick up. And so they created police. And they started to arrest Black people for the smallest, tiniest little things, which created the trend that is still going on now. So that kickstarted everything. And she refuses to see any of that history.
It's funny. I had an ex a long time ago that basically I had a friend, and it's just a quick little story. So I had a friend that robbed a bank, right? Crazy story, right? A woman was at her ultimate lowest point in her life, because I was her friend since high school, and I remember her telling me about the money issue she was having. I remember her telling me about, you know, not being able to find food for her kid. Like, she was rock bottom, and you know, she got her house broken into, so people stole her laptops and TVs. I sent her my extra laptop. Week later, broken again, stole that laptop. I'm like, yo, you would just, I mean, how much lower can you possibly get? One day she hit the rock bottom. Somebody gave her this crazy idea she could walk into a bank, pull off a set it off moment. Didn't quite work. She got caught. They knew that she had no record. They were able to see her for, I mean, it's a blessing that they gave her a break. They actually didn't even prosecute her, you know? So she got some time, some probation or whatever the case is. When she wanted to come visit LA, I told my current girlfriend, I said, hey, you know, my good friend is coming. She's gonna come stay. You know, I'd love for you to meet her. And her first reaction was, isn't that the same girl that you said robbed the bank? And I was like, yeah, but you know, that's not her. I know her for who she is. Like, that's just something she did. And she was like, I don't want to meet anybody like that. I'm like, you don't even know her story. Like, how can you just simply make up in your mind that she's trash and that she's, you know, disposable? It's not even worth talking to. You don't even shake her hand because of something she did before. That's basically what Candace Owens does. And it's that same, it was that moment I was like, I can never be with you, ever. Like, you grew up in circumstances, you were blessed enough to have a good life growing up. You'll never know about a struggle and what people have to face sometimes, and they have to make impossible decisions. That's what Black people go through. Not all of them, but the ones that are stuck in those neighborhoods and situations. It's not like we just grow up and choose to be thieves or the negative things that get us arrested. It's always, most likely, circumstances. And so because I knew hers, I felt for her. I was on her side for regrowth. You know what I mean? I'm like, you can overcome this. I'm glad you got that chance. I would never try to hold you down for what you did before. And it just sickens me when people just don't have enough empathy to just step out of your little silver spoon life that you grew up in and see it from another perspective, and that not everybody's bad. They just made a bad decision before, you know? And that's Candace Owens' mentality, and it sucks that people are like that out there.
It's hard to judge people that the system has failed. You know what I mean? So many things add up to the failure of the system. Like, you could go on and on and on. Like, even if you look up the amount of murders, like race-wise, majority white men. White men literally exceed everybody else.
I believe it.
And it's like, but we are put in the media, obviously, that we are the murder, we are the dangerous ones, and that is like continuously put out. Speaking of like social media and whatnot, and movies and TV, that all matters. Because when you push, Black is dangerous, Black is a predator, Black is scary, they're killing, like, people adopt that because people are adaptable to what's around them as much as we don't want to think. So we absolutely are. So that mentality starts taking place, and then you start to hire those cops. You know what I mean? It's just like a rippling effect of just the failed system.
Okay, so now we're gonna move on to another clip that was very satisfying to watch, I'm gonna put. So it was a little girl that was basically checking or trying to educate her racist parents about the realities of Black people. So we're gonna play that clip, let you guys check it out. We'll be back.
Do you know how many
I actually, no, shut up.
No.
Can you shut your mouth for a minute?
No.
Because I actually work in the ghetto. I see the people.
Do you know why they're in that
physically go and I
position?
see these people.
Do you understand the systematic
They
and
get all
historical
kinds
reason
of
for why they're in
chances
that
and
position?
They don't care. All they want to do is be ghetto.
No.
Yes, there's some that don't, and there's good people.
No.
And then there's most of them just want to suck off the system or do something bad like drugs or gangs. And that's all they
They
care
have
about.
been oppressed. They have
It
not been
doesn't
given
matter.
the
They
same
get the
opportunities
chances.
you have
Yes,
had.
they do, and there's plenty of Black people.
No, they
There's
don't,
plenty
Dad.
There's plenty of
And you not
minorities.
recognizing that as an issue is the reason why it's still continuing today.
I see them all over. There's all kinds of successful people that are of color. It doesn't matter what color, brown, white.
But it's a lot
orange,
harder for
yellow.
them to get to that
It doesn't
position.
matter. When they do, they're fine. But there's always filthy animals. And that
You're
is-
calling people of color Black
No.
animals. You're calling them animals.
I'm talking. You didn't let
Are
me
you
finish.
kidding me?
You didn't let me finish.
That's not
I'm
okay.
talking about the
No,
children
no
part
matter what,
still.
that's not okay.
All right, we're back. So what do you think about that clip?
Well, I love it. I love that clip. It makes me very, very happy that children like her exist. It gives me great hope in our generation, the younger generation. They are going to change the world.
Yeah.
It shocks me that people take this video as talking back, like promoting kids to talk back to their parents.
Yeah.
Which just is so bizarre to me. And
that's all they took from it.
Exactly. That's just that that says a lot about somebody on its own.
Yeah.
That's what you're taking away from the video, is that she's talking back to her parents. I loved when she raised her voice. I loved when she was like, no.
Yeah.
Speak your shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it gave me a lot of hope, because I feel like when things like what has been happening in the news lately and forever, that we've just been seeing more to light with videos and social media and whatnot, when you see these things, especially being Black, it can really make you look at white people a different way. For real, it definitely can. And it can definitely make you give up hope.
Yeah.
Especially if you think about, well, wow, are these parents are educating their kids like that? Like, yikes. Yeah. But when I see a kid like that who's taken it upon herself to educate herself, to educate her parents. And I'm not sure where this little girl is from, but from the way that they're speaking, it seems like she might be from like a predominantly white neighborhood. And it makes me proud that she is speaking her mind. And I hope that her voice, I hope that her peers and everyone around her hears her voice. I hope that her parents understand that they're fucking wrong, and and everything that she said was just completely...
It's facts.
It's facts. It's spot on. And I was really proud of her.
I look at it like this. I have never been a fan of simply just conforming to a group. If you grow up in a household and everybody in that household is ignorant and wrong, you need to be your own person. And that little girl is her own person. And if her parents happen to be setting that example, I see nothing wrong with separating yourself from that negativity. The same way that the cops do it. You know, they sit there and they watch their fellow officers do heinous crimes, and they just watch because they're so afraid of standing on their own and stepping out and saying, this is wrong. Right. So I don't care if those happen to be her parents, because her parents are the exact problem. So I think it's beautiful that she was able to acknowledge that even within that household, she was able to see right from wrong. So, hey, if you happen to be the parents that are offended, stop raising your kid, or stop being the type of parent that you are, because your kids are finally getting hip to the ignorance that you are carrying around and sharing, and they're not with it. So that's why, like I said, this generation is beautiful that they're finally getting to see things for their own. You know, don't be afraid to stand up to anybody if they're wrong. It's not disrespectful to tell your parents that they're insanely wrong. You know what I mean? Like, that's just being a human with a decent heart, you know? And so those are my thoughts on that. Power to the girl. Shout out to you. Little girls across the world, boys. If your parents are racist, check them, because that's the only way we're going to break the cycle. If you follow along with their beliefs because you're so worried about being respectful to them, then you're going to turn out being just like them. Exactly. And then we have a whole nother generation of people we need to get rid of. This next clip is actually kind of ironic and hilarious to me. It was the police chief basically going on air crying out for some sympathy about the fact that the world was not giving them a fair look, you know, that they were being shamed and, you know, basically. So watch this clip. We're gonna tell you what we think about it afterwards. Let's go.
Because you know what? Everybody's trying to shame us. The legislators, the press, everybody's trying to shame us into being embarrassed about our profession. Well, you know what? This isn't stained by someone in Minneapolis. It's still got a shine on it. And so do theirs. So do theirs. Stop treating us like animals and thugs, and start treating us with some respect. That's what we're here today to say. We've been left out of the conversation. We've been vilified. It's disgusting.
I think that it's, like I said, it's very, very ironic, and it's hypocritical as hell for them to be the ones that we're protesting against And I think it's funny because somebody made a mashup video of it,
I think I've seen it.
where as he was giving his speech, they were showing clips of all the exact things that they're doing. So it's
Yeah.
like, you're basically upset about the fact that we're telling on you. Like, you're only being shamed for the things you're doing. Stop being shameful if you don't want to be shamed.
Yeah.
Like, we're not making stuff up. This is video footage.
Exactly. I thought the video was hilarious because it's the police having a temper tantrum. They're like little kids,
Yeah.
and like you said, yeah, somebody made a mashup of everything that's been going on and past videos, and it's just like, come on,
It's crazy,
on. And I
yeah.
actually saw a great edited video of where they showed all the police and they put KKK hoods on them while he was speaking. They put all of them in KKK
yeah.
hoods.
I mean, it was, yeah.
I was like, damn, Black Twitter is going off.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it just looks to me like a little white boy just whining and crying.
Yeah.
Because now people are seeing what you guys are doing. People are being exposed to
All along.
who you are.
Yeah.
You know, because even people like friggin' Candace Owens,
Yeah.
even all the dumb shit that she did say,
Yeah.
she said when she saw that video, he was wrong, right? And so
Okay.
for a lot of people who are even like racist out there, at least they were able to see that video and be
Yeah.
like, there's
Yeah.
no way that I can, you
Defend
can't
it.
spin it. You can't
And-
spin
and
it any way at all.
That's why
At all.
this video caused the movement that it did. Like, you know, with the Ahmad where he got shot down,
There's no way you could spin that either, to be honest.
You can't, but because it wasn't shown in its entirety, there was room for people to make up their own theories as to what possibly happened. They were
Yeah.
like, oh, well, you know, you can't see from that angle, you can't see from that angle. We as black people know exactly what happened. But because there was room and missing angles, I could see
Any
them.
excuse.
With
any
this
excuse.
one, there was nothing to see. I mean, we literally had a front view of that. You know, they even had white people coming in, the firefighter, saying something is wrong. So that's why that one specifically was like, nah, fuck this, we're
Yeah.
going off, you know?
Yeah.
And then, you know, you add all the other stories in the recent Breonna Taylor, so that's what happened. So, yeah, those cops, they have lost their damn mind. I mean, look, I get it. I have cousins that are cops. I have friends that are cops. I understand that not everybody is terrible. However, right now, we're not here to talk about the one-offs or the people that are good. This whole thing is about the ones that are bad. So if we're going to highlight all those bad cops in the footage, we're going to show that, okay? We're not interested in showing you guys throwing footballs with the black kids and hugging babies. That's just not what we are protesting against because you guys aren't the problem. The problem is the ones that are killing us. The problems are the ones that are just making up, you know, beating up black people for not wearing COVID masks. Just, we are about to show everything that you guys do. So, you know, sorry, cops, if you guys are feeling offended. Why don't you guys spend that energy in prosecuting all the bad cops? And then maybe we'll have a little bit more to talk about.
Speaking really quick, just from like a personal experience on the
Yes.
cops issue, I had one of the there's a family friend that's a cop. We actually don't have a lot of cop friends, but there's a cop friend.
Yeah.
From before all this, very nice man, very nice white cop, very nice man, very nice family. And I was kind of waiting when all this kicked off. I was like, what are you going to say? Because I am a believer, and this is just my beliefs, but I'm a believer. I don't believe at all in the police system. I just don't.
Yeah.
I believe that there are good cops, but the system is just so messed up that it needs to be completely reworked, like completely rebuilt, reworked. That's just my beliefs on it. But this cop finally decided to speak up, and I was so upset and offended by what he posted. He posted a screenshot, and has said nothing about the matters at all. Posted a screenshot of Lil Wayne talking about how a cop saved his life.
I heard about that story,
right?
yeah.
And so I think it was even an old article, but he just screenshotted it and posted it. And the caption said, who's saying this says it all. Like, so he's pretty much saying, you know, he's black and he's saying this, that must, you know, mean that everything's okay. And for you to first defend cops, that's your first reaction, is just so messed up. It's so messed up for you not to say anything and just immediately go to defend your cops and your honor, and not at all say, if you really want to defend cops, then fully speak out. You should have spoke up right away and said, hey, that's not me, that's not who we are, whatever. But you waiting and posting, and I've seen that a lot when I started to creep more and ask more of my friends about it. A lot of weird, ambiguous, weird messages have been being posted. I'm just not for that. at all.
Yeah.
At all. And my mom educated his ass. So.
Oh, really? Good. I
Yeah.
mean, and that's the thing. They're just so focused on their little clique. You know, it's like they don't see anything outside of the police force. So they can't see that somebody is dead wrong, or they're just more concerned about keeping that energy alive. And you're right. It's sick that you can't, even as a cop, just being a human being, not see that something is wrong and speak up on it. So just like that little girl spoke up to her parents, cops need to be mindful enough to just see evil versus good and not simply try to take the side of a cop. That's just, that's crazy. And it's funny because they actually had, speaking of cops, it was another clip in which they had a lot of cops lined up of all different ethnicities, and they were explaining how the system is designed to basically cause the issues that it does, you know, as far as the quotas go. And they would tell them, listen, you guys need to lock up a certain amount of people within a certain amount of time or you'll get in trouble. You know, and they would tell them specifically, you know, your chances of getting those quotas met are higher over there. So now they're posting them in the inner city areas, and they're just, you know, when you come across somebody trying to get a quota, they can care less about how guilty you are. They just got to get their quota met. So how can you have a police system designed that's on a numbers game rather than what's right and what's actually wrong? That's just, that's crazy.
Like, absolutely. And also in LA in particular, and I'm positive like a ton of other states do this as well, we constantly promote being a police officer here. By the way, we have tons and tons and tons of police officers in LA. We do not need any more. Tons and tons and tons. Yeah. And you are getting offered, hey, you want to be a police officer? At every corner, they make it so accessible and easy for you to become a cop. Yeah. And that is such a problem. Like, you could be putting all of that money into so much more. Put it back into the community that you're frigged over. You know, and you're also, by doing that, by making that so accessible to anybody, you're letting anybody in. You're letting anybody become a cop. You know what I mean? They don't look at all. They don't look into anybody's past.
The amount of training is like nothing.
Nothing. And they're trained to kill. Do you know what I mean? They're trained to kill.
And you're taking very weak, low self-esteem people and giving them power that they've never had before. And now they're just lashing out and they're acting on it. And so that's really, I think there's a law that's passing now in which they're requiring, I don't know if it's gonna pass, hopefully it does, in which they're requiring more of a background screening, and then like every 6 months or something like that, where they check on if you have a racist past. You know, if there are some things about you that, you know, show a sign of that, you should not be a cop. If you can't have a good heart and be non-biased, then don't hold a gun and then go into a black city, you know, because that's just dangerous for us.
Moving forward, if we're going to be talking about race, we need to be very radical from now on. We need to be radical with our peace. We need to be radical with our protests, and we need to be radical about activism right now and speaking our voice. And
yeah, no, you're 100% right. So, like I said, I'm super proud to be in this generation, alive to witness this change that's taking place. And, you know, I encourage anybody, if you're out there, just continue to spread awareness. You know, that's the most important thing right now. Tell the truth and don't let the media spin their own lies, because that's what's going to get us right back on the same track. We're not animals. We're obviously very peaceful. We're starting to notice that the protests now are a lot more peaceful because, you know, the looting and all that stuff is gone away. Now you're able to just see us for what we are. You know what I mean? We're people that are just pleading to be equal. You know, we're not asking for revenge. We're not trying to, you know, be one up on you guys. We just all want to be in the equal playing field and have equal rights, which is not too much to ask, whether that be black and white, whether that be gay, whether that be trans, or any of the people that are going through any inequalities right now. All right, y'all, so that's it for Fury Talks. Thank you for watching this episode. Robyn, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time. Tell everybody how they can find you.
Thank you for having me. You can find me at Robyn_Alomar on Instagram. And yeah, thank you for everyone who came and shared the space with us, all black people who shared the space with us, and all non-black people and white people who came here to educate themselves and learn.
And again, if you guys want to see her in action, she is the lead actress of Utopia Falls, and I'm super happy to have her here. Please continue to watch, subscribe, and share this story with as many people as possible so we can have as many people that can be inspired and helped with this. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you for watching Fury Talks. Later.